This is Take Two.
I want to start from the beginning, which is if you could explain to me the situation with Kurdistan and the reason for the split, and give me a little bit of a history lesson if you could.
So Kurdistan was divided in 1922, I think it was, by Britain and France, and we were promised a country, and that was then when Turkey was created in 1922, I think it was, or 23. And so our people was divided between, so there's close to 40 million Kurds were divided between Iraq, Iran, Turkey, and Syria.
So was Kurdistan a piece of land at first? Like, was it recognized?
No, back then what it was, everybody, it was the Ottoman Empire.
Okay.
You know, then you had the Persians, then you had so you didn't really have Iraq.
Okay.
You know, Iraq was only created at the same time, in 1920s.
I see. Okay.
Right, so there was no such a thing as Saudi Arabia. These were all created. Syria was created, and like many other countries were created. So Kurdistan would have been the same as Palestine, kind of,
Okay.
But Kurdistan was always there, right? Turkey was created. It wasn't called Turkey till Turkey even now, they changed their name to Turkey now again, Kurdistan was always Kurdistan was there,
Okay.
So what happened when that happened? Then our people was divided between these four countries, and then what happened after that? Then a lot of Kurdish people start fighting for their own rights. Obviously we start losing our language, our culture. Just over the years, then we start losing. We've lost millions of people. I mean, hundreds of thousands.
What's the Kurdish culture?
What is the Kurdish culture?
Yeah, what's it like? Who are you guys? Like, if you could present it a little bit.
We have our own language. We love music. We love dancing, and when we dance, we hold hands like a group of 10 people or 12 or sometimes 100. Like that's one of our we love democracy and freedom, and I think Kurdish people, we're the only kind of probably open-minded people in the Middle East. And same with the Iranian people, to be fair, are very open-minded. The Persians. And Kurdish people, if we go back a couple of 100 years ago, 99% of Kurdish people were forced to be Muslims by the Arabs. And if they didn't become a Muslim, they would have been killed or slaughtered.
What was the religion before then?
90% would have been Zoroastrianism.
Okay, what's that?
Yarasani. So like my mom's side, a lot of her side be Yarasanis. So they believe in, they still believe their own God. They believe in fire, or they believe in, the way, like in every religion, they all believe in something different, But they're very, they're one of the most, they're one of the most peaceful religions on the planet.
Yeah.
And now, if I'm compared to other religions, all the other religions are just, there's no such thing as peace. There always seem to be people fighting over.
There's
Muslims,
always divide.
Catholics,
Yeah.
Protestants.
It's a divide. It's always a fight. My God is better than yours. It's always the same.
There's all that kind of going on.
Yeah.
But the religion the Kurdish people were, and because we weren't Kurdish people, we weren't Muslims, and over the years they were forced to become Muslims, and like we're very multicultural. Like we have Christianity, we have Yazidis, we have about 30 different other religions that people just lived by side, and then when in the 1920s things got worse, when Turkey and Iraq and all these countries were created, and Kurdistan was promised a country by Britain and France, and they were betrayed it, and they have left this mess behind, and there hasn't been peace in the Middle East since then.
Crazy.
Since Iraq and Turkey and Syria, all these countries were created, and when the Kurdish people was divided between the four.
Okay.
So there's Kurdish people living in Syria, and in Kurdistan region of Iraq have their own. They have their own, regional government. So they would have their own president, parliament, military, everything. They have their own government, but they're still part of Iraq. Do you get me?
Okay.
But they have that freedom. But when you go to school in Kurdistan of Iraq, the first language you learn is Kurdish.
Wow.
Before 1991, before the uprising that happened, first language was Arabic. You're forced to learn Arabic. Kurdish was second. You learn, it'd be like a religion class in Ireland.
Like a side one.
Yeah, yeah. So then since 1991, the number one language in Kurdistan of Iraq is Kurdish.
Unreal.
Because the Kurdish government controls their own people.
And
then
carry on.
And then English second now. Arabic is third nearly,
Crazy.
But that's what Kurdish people have fought for. They've lost millions of people. And then in Turkey, Kurdistan, the word Kurdistan is banned in general,
No way.
Yeah, it's banned. There's hundreds of thousands of Kurdish people, activists, journalists, politicians are all in prison in Turkey. And so Kurdistan, even I remember a couple of weeks ago I was out, this lad I know, his girlfriend is Turkish, and she says to me, "Where are you from?" I said, "Kurdistan." But then, and I said, "Where are you from?" "Turkey." She goes, "I never heard of Kurdistan." I said, "You know what? I've never heard of Turkey, if that's the case. If you have never," I said, "there's 20 million Kurds,
The cheek.
they live and they're from Kurdistan, probably 30 million Kurds in Turkey. And you're saying you never heard a Kurd?" And I tell you, if it was a man, I felt like giving him a slap.
Like, how dare you? But it is so interesting the way that every national country kind of like avoids the shit that they caused and created and go out of their way significantly to paint themselves in a good light. It's interesting though with the Britain and France thing, because I feel like my understanding of history, especially when it comes to wars, is very limited. But it's kind of like not Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Syria, like they turned against each other rather than facing the frustration towards Britain and France. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's a long debate. Like you can nearly talk about for weeks and years and months. Sometimes I blame the Kurdish people ourselves as well. We're not united. Our people are not united. The Kurds of Iran are divided between the Kurds of Iraq, Kurdistan of Iraq. The Syrian Kurds are closer to the Kurdish people of the Kurdish Turks.
Wow.
So there is a little bit of a divide, but
and what's the divide over besides?
Well, it's the divide is over power, and it's over our so-called enemies are dividing us behind the scenes, and they're causing a bit of trouble behind the scenes. But Kurdistan have got very strong, have got very powerful in the last 30 years. Since 1991, Kurdish people have took control of their own land in Kurdistan of Iraq.
Yeah.
So they have their own, they're very powerful military. They have over 500,000 Peshmerga fighters.
No way.
Yeah, and every Kurd in Kurdistan of Iraq has a gun, So everybody is kind, and then same with the Syrian in Kurdistan, Rojava we call it, and they have gone since the 2011 revolution. The Kurdish people have took their own cities back, so they're called the Syrian Democratic Forces. So they have, and now Turkey are threatening to invade the Rojava, Syria, where the Kurds have controlled, and this is going to be a big issue now. But so far they're threatening. But I think the reason for that is because the Turkish election is coming up in June. In June, so your man is looking for votes, and he's trying to do, and the Turkish economy is not going great either. So that's another issue. But then, so the Kurds in Syria now, they're learning their own Kurdish, Kermanji to speak. So I speak Kurdish Sorani. So there's different dialects of Kurdish we speak as well in different parts. And now, so they have got control of that. But now Turkey feels like they're threatened because of because now Kurdistan and Iraq, they control their own. They have their own president, parliament and prime ministers, and they're getting onto the world stage now. They have power, and it's a threat to them as well, because then there's 20 million Kurds that are living in fear in Turkey. They're saying, "What about us? Why are we being,
Yeah.
why are we being prosecuted for using the word Kurdistan and speaking up?" But then it's so different, and every country is different. But then you're in Iran, then like there is a place called Kurdistan. The Iranian government, most ministers in Iran say, "Oh, Kurdistan of Iran." They will recognize that Kurdistan of Iran, but they wouldn't recognize it as a country. Do you get me?
Yeah. It's like a
y-
massive county instead.
Yeah, so they have that. Well, we did have a Republic of Mahabad. It was in Kurdistan in 1947, 46. But then that lasted for a year, and but then that government of Kurdish Republic of Mahabad was overthrown by the Shah of Iran, the king of Iran, and it was backed by the British. Queen Elizabeth, let's say she was behind it as well, behind the scenes. And then, so a lot of Kurdish people died in that, and the leader, his name was Qazi Muhammad, and it's a very household name in this country and in the world, in Kurdistan, in every Kurdish household. And then he was executed, but he said, I hand myself in instead of getting a lot of the civilians killed in that,
Okay.
So he was, and so then history just kind of has, Kurdish people have suffered since, but in Iran, with Kurdish people can celebrate their Kurdish music and their singing, but they're not allowed to learn Kurdish in their own language.
Okay.
But they'll all speak Kurdish at home.
All right.
Fluent. But when they go to school, they learn Farsi.
Yeah, I see.
But in Iraq, it's the opposite. So
there's a dilemma there.
Yeah, so different part of the countries, they treat them differently. In Turkey, they treat the Kurds a different way altogether. Kurds have no right, and well, that's the reason Turkey is not getting into the European Union. It's because of the Kurdish issue, and they will never ever get in, and I hope not.
I remember studying about Turkey going and the long process they've been constantly trying to get into to the EU, and how the European Union has been prolonging it and trying to figure it out. A lot of it is, in my opinion anyways, stemmed from xenophobia to a certain extent, where it's we have a culture, does it fit that and whatnot. But then there are the human rights things as well, where it's you're not recognizing Kurdish people, LGBT stuff. There's a lot of things that
I think the number one issue is Turkish. It's nothing got to do with culture, really.
Okay.
It's got to do with the Kurdish human rights.
Okay, carry on.
Got to do with this hundreds of thousands of Kurdish people in prison.
They want
Any Kurdish politician speaks up, says a word, in prison for 10 years. And they're all in prison, and there's no they're not going to let them into the European Union. That's one of the main reasons. It's nothing. Turkish culture is the same as the European. It's not.
Yeah, it's changing. Obviously, it's multi.
But I could see Turkey now.
Okay.
If they still have the same leader.
Yeah.
He's very extreme Islamist, and I could see Turkey are going to go backward. They're going to turn like the Taliban a mentality.
That's the interesting thing. I feel
but Turkish people are not realizing this.
Yeah. It happens before, blink of an eye.
It's I had a Kurdish friend that was she was actually studying over there. She's done her PhD over in Turkey there. She's from Kurdistan of Iran. And she said that she could never say she was Kurdish because she would have been thrown out of it. She said she spoke fluent in Turkish. She just says she was a Persian, studying there, But in the last day when she got her degree or her PhD, and she just said, just to let you know I'm a Kurd. They're like, oh, no problem. She goes, really, you seem to be having a problem with Kurdish people. Everything is anti-Kurdish, but the problem is sometimes it's in Iran. It's people just get on, the Kurds and all the other religions that people live side by side. everybody gets on. There's no hatred, you know. Sometimes the government, you know, they throw hatred, but in Turkey, you know, at a young age, they seem to be taught to hate Kurds when they're, you know, starting primary school,
Mm.
and this is where the big issue is. You know, racism is the big, and to me, when I see, you know, people say racism in Britain, racism in, you know, France, there is no such a thing. Different types of racism, you know. Like Turkey, to me, are the biggest racist country on this planet. You know, they treat their own people as second class citizen. You know, and you know, and then you see them the power they have as well. But we make them like that. You know, we make them strong like that. You know,
Mm.
Turkey really had no power, but we make them strong as tough guys, and well, we want them. But at the same times, we made Saddam Hussein a tough man like that. The next thing they executed him. They made Gaddafi a big, powerful mouthy and, you know, powerful, throwing, threatening and all that. Didn't end up well down there with him. Same with Hosni Mubarak in Egypt.
Mm.
You know, anybody just throws the shape around, their days are numbered.
That's the interesting thing. It's that, like, first they put them up on a pedestal, and then they execute them.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
As in, of course, they didn't deserve the pedestal at all in the first place. That's like my thinking. It's I would love to understand the tribalism and the human psyche behind that. It's like, why are you so comfortable making these people messiahs when they're actually not? And it keeps going. Like, they're just using extremism all the time and just like massive marketing schemes. Like, you mentioned it in your book, and I had written it down with Saddam Hussein. You were saying that in the refugee camp, your parents had a photo of him up on the wall to make sure that they're not looking like they're against him. It's like that fake support as well. Like, he got real support, and then he also got the fake support. Unless everyone was too scared and was just falsely supporting him until things got really fucking bad.
Yeah, so, but that's true. Like, there's no lies there. Everybody had a picture of him. So there was a statue of him everywhere in Iraq, anywhere you drove through, and people see. Sometimes it's very hard trying to explain to people if they didn't live in a dictatorship.
Mm.
When you live in a dictatorship, you know what a dictatorship is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people say Saudi Arabia is dictatorship. No, there's no dictatorship in Saudi. They look after their people. And Qataris and all that, they might have small little issues with human rights, but they treat their own people like kings, you know, whether we like it or not. The Qataris, the Emiratis,
Yeah.
the Kuwaitis, they treat their people like kings, and like,
Yeah, I'm assuming the women stuff like would be a little bit a lot different there.
sometimes as well what it is that we don't understand. There is
Yeah.
there is this thing about culture as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there is this culture as well,
Mm,
and you're not going to change things overnight,
for sure.
you know, and it's the culture as well. Sometimes you cannot change, you know, even sometimes some countries in Eastern, they have their own culture, and you can't.
Oh yeah, like with the World Cup thing and all that, I've had this conversation with so many people.
You can change like I've completely changed. You can change, bring them over as 10-year-olds, you change them, you can integrate them.
But you're not gonna, like, no American is going to go down to Qatar and be the guy to change an entire fucking country with an LGBT, like with a rainbow flag on their arm.
Yeah.
If change is going to happen, it has to happen among themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not your place. It's not anyone's place except for the population of that country, men and women included.
Yeah, and
like, there's this concept that, like, we know better. It's like, sure, but we sometimes barely run this shit properly. So, like, let's leave it up to them and let them figure it out. I feel like people haven't learned enough from history, and that, like, meddling and shit gets you fucking nowhere, my dude. Like,
it is. See, the problem is, it's not. You know, sometimes we're worried about, you know, they're treating them as, you know, they're treating their own people, but over there, like, to me, it's their culture. They don't know any different. That's the way
No.
they live. That's the
Yeah,
way they
yeah.
live, and they all live like kings and queens over there.
Yeah.
They are like, and if I'm trying to, I'm born in that part of the world, so I know what it's like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've
yeah.
done a lot of
It's
research, a
one.
lot of thing about the whole. They do, and if any women wants to run away from the Qatar, they can just run away tomorrow. They can go anywhere they want in the world. They all have loads of money. They can go anywhere.
They're swimming in it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they're swimming in money, and there is no what you call it. There is no such a thing as homeless Qatari. There is no person from homeless from the United Arab Emirates. There's no homeless people from Kuwait. They're filthy rich. They
Yeah.
can look after their, we need to worry about. There's bigger things going on there.
Yeah.
There's bigger things going on there where there's 80, about close to 100,000 ISIS fighter in a Kurdish refugee in a prison. The Kurds are, holding on to these 100,000 people, and
Okay.
these are all ISIS fighters. They've been arrested and they're all in the prison.
With the Kurds.
Yeah, the Kurds have them all with backed by the Americans.
Okay. Explain that again, please, if you don't mind. So we've got a prison.
So we have a prison in
Backed by
Rojava
the-
in Syrian Democratic Forces, which is held by the Kurdish, Peshmerga fighters.
I see.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but so the big issue we need to look at: how did these 100,000 people got there? Which country they all came through? 70,000 of them went through Turkey.
Mm.
And we need to look who funds ISIS. This is the bigger thing. We need to forget about forget about Qatar. They ran a great World Cup. They mightn't be the best people on the planet, but they ran a great. There's no trouble. There's no.
Look, Messi's the goal.
We're giving out about they can't have a bottle of Heineken a bottle of Heineken at the World Cup. Who gives a shit? Sorry, who cares?
No. You can swear. Don't worry. You swear.
Yeah. So it's like, who gives a shit if you can't have a bottle of Heineken? Have it afterwards.
Yeah, literally.
Down the hotel.
Sometimes sports is better without a Heineken. Without the fights and the arguments. And
in the end of the day, it's not Qatar's fault they're having it. They asked for it. But they have it there. And
look, it was up to FIFA.
It's FIFA. Everybody in FIFA, they're all from Europe.
Yeah. They knew what they were signing.
There's no Arabs in FIFA. I don't see any of them. But so we need to.
So you think that, or the theory here is that the ISIS terrorists are coming from Turkey?
Well, a lot of them have been coming through there. Yeah, 90% of them. If you ask the Kurdish forces there, who's funding them? They'll tell you it was Turkey, not me. They'll tell you.
And is it a government thing? Or, I remember...
Well, they say it's the government. The Kurdish government of Syria says the Turkish government are backing them.
What's the point? What are they after?
What are they after?
Yeah.
After land. They want to get rid of Kurdish people. Displace them. They want to go back to the Ottoman Empire.
I see. And what's the reasoning behind the attacks that, for touch wood anyways, they've dwindled down a little bit, but why the attacks on the West? Or what did we have? There was the jihadist attack in Paris sometimes. Germany.
Just 3 Kurdish people that died.
Was it
They were Kurdish, yeah.
Okay. What is ISIS trying to do from a West, with a Western thing or with the West?
Well, the problem is, if you ask the Americans and the French,
okay,
if Macron said it there was the last year, the year before, said that the biggest jihadi supporters are Turkey. That they support jihad, So that means they're supporting ISIS. That's what he means. It doesn't mean any other way.
Okay, I see.
And I think, and the other question is, I want to know, there is a mess as well. So your European countries, NATO as well. Sometimes Turkey can give out about saying, they're example, that 3 Kurdish people were killed in their office in a Kurdish cultural center in Paris. There's more story than that your man being racist. But we don't believe that your man is being racist. We believe, why didn't he go to kill 100 people in a mosque? He knows where there's hundreds of thousands of Arabs living up the road. Why did he have to go to a Kurdish cultural? And these people are not, nothing got to do with. We believe that the country we believe we believe the Turkish government or somebody's behind these kind of things. This just didn't happen. Where did you get a gun from?
Yeah.
We believe there's out of all the, France is multicultural. Out of all the mosques, out of all the millions of Muslim women in France, he came and killed 3 innocent Kurdish people sitting in office.
Yeah, that's very targeted. That's very niche.
Yeah. We want to know, where did you get the gun from? And 3 years before that, another 3 Kurdish women were killed, 3 activists. And one of them was the former, one of the Turkish Secret Service that was arrested.
I see.
Yeah, and we didn't hear the whole world go in uproar.
No.
Yeah, and these people, they don't feel safe in their own home countries, and they come to another country, they still don't feel safe, and they still get killed.
Yeah, they're still the target on their back follows them wherever they go.
So I believe that Europe, majority of people in Europe doesn't know that. I believe European countries, the only friend Europe has is the Kurdish people and the Israelis and the Iranian people. They have no friends in the Middle East.
Yeah. Okay.
Because when I watch the Arabic TVs, they're all anti-European.
Yeah.
When you watch the English channels, they lower their language. They're very diplomatic because they know they're watching. But when I'm watching the Arabic TV channels we have at home, or they're anti-America, anti-Europe, everything is anti.
Now, in saying that, of course, you divide and disagreements and hatred towards this and that goes nowhere. But is there
there's no winners.
There's always losers, right? But it's kind of like, is there a reason? Do these countries, do these leaderships think that the likes of America and Europe want to change them? Do they have a certain feeling that they're trying to, send out to everyone that like the English and the Americans are trying to change us and make us one of them, therefore let's nail down like, you are Turkish, you are Muslim, you are this and that?
But no, see, I think the problem is in the Middle East.
Okay.
It's in general, when they need help, they ask for America and Europe for help. So they want democracy, but they'll have to make up their mind what type of democracy they want. So, there's different types of steps of democracy, but they don't know. One minute they're very religious. So if you're religion, there is no democracy in religion. Yeah. So forget about it. So, and the problem is religion in some countries it's in their everyday life. Saudi Arabia, I think the people in Saudi are just happy the way they want to live. Leave them matter. The government looks after. That's the way they want to live. Let them live like that, because it's like they want to live by the Sharia law. Do you know what I mean? Same with Qatar.
It goes back to what we were saying. If change is going to happen, it's going to be from them.
No, leave them at them. That's the way. Yeah. They want democracy. But the problem is, if they want democracy, they want to put religion aside, leave religion at home.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, leave religion at home. And then
let's talk.
And let's talk. But then it doesn't work over there. They want both. So they never work and they'll never get democracy. And sometimes their people deserves what happens to them because they don't know what they want. Afghanistan people. Okay. They want to live by the Sharia law. Good luck. You deserve that if that's the way you want to live. They want to live like that. I see him. 10 women protesting. Where's the 40 or a million people in Afghanistan?
Would you think they'd be scared to... based on the repercussions or whatever?
Scared what? There's only 1,000 Taliban fighters went in and took over. There was 500,000 Afghanistan army. Where are they gone? So they want to live by the Taliban as well. They want to live by the Sharia law. They don't want democracy. I know America, we created the Taliban. We put them there before. Afghanistan was like Europe. It was like, do you know what I mean? But at the same time, the people are all brainwashed, uneducated. 90% of them, they want to live like that. Okay. And I talk to people from, whenever a few drinks in me or something, I get a taxi, I meet someone from Afghanistan. Oh, the Taliban are great. I'm like, okay, great. Then you should go back and live there under their rule then, if that's the case, if they're great, Yeah. But that's the reality, Sometimes you have to be straight with these. Sometimes Afghanistan, when the Americans were there, they were giving out about America the whole time. They spent trillions on them. Trillions. Right? To fix themselves up, right? You know,
Yeah.
trillions in the country. They put 20 years of, you know, I mean, 20 years of infrastructure and everything into the people over in Afghanistan. They want the Taliban in charge. They want a tough man in charge. Leave them. They deserve the Taliban. They deserve them. There's no any people from Afghanistan want to sit with me and we can one-on-one and we'll chat away.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not from Afghanistan, so I can't. I
I
can't
know.
play the devil's advocate.
But see, yeah. So this is
No, but I completely agree with you. It's like, I think a lot of countries are like, no, we want this good thing, we want this good thing, and this. And like, people forget that everything comes with the bad. Like, you need to make a choice, especially when it comes to introducing something new and something that's going to be completely different. Your values are going to be challenged, your beliefs. So many people think that their beliefs are themselves.
Well, that's the thing as well. They only believe in. Sometimes they make up their own rules as well. Don't get me. And it's I was watching a documentary with France 24 in Afghanistan, right? And everything we want to live by the Sharia, we want to live by the Quran.
Okay.
So I said to myself, and it says that 20 prisoners are they were going into there. I was surprised they were going into the little police station. There was 20 fellas. One was caught robbing, and the one. The army, the Taliban chief was like, "Oh yeah, so if he's 100% got caught up, his arm should be chopped off," you know. Well, that's what it says. If they want, I'm a Muslim, and it says if they want to live by the Sharia law and if they want to live by the Quran, that's the way it is. They'll all be going around with no hands soon because the country is poverty and is poor. Sharia law works in Qatar because people are not going to, you know. Are not going to rob in Qatar. They're all rich. People are not going to rob. The Sharia law suits the wealthy countries because in wealthy countries nobody's going to rob.
You're not stealing any apples.
You're not. It doesn't work, you know.
Fuck.
So that's where the mess is. And now, and I can see now even in we have even big issues in Kurdistan as well. You know, the Kurdish people want democracy, but we have too many imams from the mosques are getting involved in people's everyday life. And they believe we'll do this for you, we'll do, and promise them everything. And then before they realize Kurdistan could turn into another, I mean, the whole Iraq could turn into another Afghanistan as well.
Yeah. How does it feel looking at all of this from your perspective and your knowledge and your experience now? Like, does it frustrate you? Does it piss you off? Have you gotten over it at this point in time?
No, it does piss me off in a certain way, and then another way, they're spending just too much money on the countries are spending too much money on weapon and military building up the country. And Iraq, even Kurdistan, Iraq and Kurds, they all live side by side, but it could be another Dubai. Because they have more wealth there than the Emiratis does, you know, and then the Qataris. And unfortunately, they just spend the country, there's just no peace there yet. Yeah. There's just a religion fight. In Iraq now at the minute is between Shias, Sunnis and Kurds. It's a religion fight now at the minute. Do
you think that's bullshit?
What?
A religion fight?
Well, it's all bullshit. But at the same time, it's
up to them. Like,
it's up to them. But the problem is in Iraq now, Saddam is gone, a dictator is gone. You ask Iraqi people now, they're saying bring back Saddam because Saddam was a communist man and he was Saddam didn't. You wouldn't see the way now there's extremism and all in Iraq. There's none of that in Iraq. No extreme. No, anybody that had a ISIS ideology and all that will be never seen again. You know.
Interesting.
You know, they're not even. You know. Like Saddam used to say on TV, anybody who wants to use the Quran as their own political agenda, he says, I will kill them. You know, but that's the way it was. There was no religion was step aside. But now in Iraq now, because now because it's democracy in Iraq. Iraq is actually there's elections. There is people like rise up. You see them in millions in protesting and all that because they haven't enough. People, will protest and they want change in Iraq. There is still like in Iraq. You go to Iraq now, you get a pub, you get nightclubs, you do get all that as well. You know, so it would be 20 times safer than living in Afghanistan now. You know, if you compare it, there's just the two different. Yeah, Iraq and Afghanistan is completely different now. To be fair, a lot of the people in the Iraqi parliament, they're all very well educated people. They're, you know, and then the problem is the poor people in Iraq are very religious. But I think that's in every country. Would it be just poor people feel like that God is going to give them something, or they're going to? I've noticed that poor people are always.
They're probably always the most religious. They're always the ones that are praying, that believe that they have God by their side. And in fairness, it's kind of like, are you going to be the one? Not are you going to be like the person, but do you want to take that away from them? If that's the little escape and the little piece that they got, you know, it's like, it's a tough one, you know, like just even just going over to your grandparents or they're like, no, you have to pray and all that, and then you'll know what university degree you need to go into, and it's like, dude, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like God is not going to give it.
God is not going to tell you whether to go into medicine or law. Like,
no, He's not going to give you anything. You have to work yourself.
You do.
But
that's it.
But that's the problem. Like, that's why you've noticed big difference in Europe, because everybody's getting very well educated. Like Ireland was very strict Catholic country as well. You have to go back 40 years ago. Ireland was. They were out, when you had kid after marriage, your kids was taken away, wasn't it? Or she was put into a what was it called? Mother's homes or whatever it was called. Anyway, we have seen, you know, it's
a completely different story. Even with Malta, like abortion is still a massive protest over there. Like we're a few years behind Ireland in that sense too.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, I think democracy only kind of works. You can bring democracy only into wealthy countries because, example, you know, we cannot bring the lifestyle here, you know, the lifestyle here into the Iraqi people lifestyle. The reason for that is, you know, if you're going out in Iraq and right, you meet a girl and she's pregnant the next day and you're not with her and she's going to have the baby, right? Who's gonna look after her? There is no social welfare. Think about it. There is no child benefit. There is. So they have to have certain rules and laws.
Yes.
Because otherwise the population of Iraq is already rising. It's already gone to 40 million. It's like from 2003, even the war started, 1 million people have died. It's gone from 25 to 40 million or something Iraq population the last, you know.
Yeah.
But but this is the thing. It doesn't you know, it doesn't work. It's like in China when they had this one-child policy.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, you know.
Yeah, they were trying to control the population because
but where are they? Like next thing, imagine if they all have 5-6 kids each. There'd be like 5 billion. They'd be all living. People be eating each other.
Literally, like it's just a recipe for chaos. Yeah. It's horrible because then there were so many scary situations with those accidents. Obviously, like the adoptions, orphanages, or just killings, whatever. Horrible, but like. It's interesting to see how every country and every culture tries to adapt and try to figure out whatever issue they have at face value and go, this is what we're going to do. Like, sorry, fuck, like, this is all we could do. And then it's like, if you have a problem, out. So is that the right and humane way to go? Would you hope that everyone's brains is slightly more empathizing? Yeah, sure.
I believe every country has every country has a different system, different culture, and the countries that are religion are involved in in their everyday life. They're going to be the backward people. I always believe that they're going to be always a little bit behind. They might be some of them might be very, very wealthy, and they might be, you know, but they still have that backward mentality.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because like,
and I believe like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and these countries are going forward. So they're going forward. Some other countries are going backward.
Yeah.
You know, and it's you could see like Qatar holding the World Cup, going. These people lived on a desert 50 years ago. It's not too long ago. They were on camels, and you have to, you know, that's the reality. They were, you know.
No, the development has happened.
The development has happened, and it's
there.
It's there, and you know, look at it. Everybody in the world is. Where did they want to go?
Yeah.
Like I remember, 8-9 years ago, 10 years ago, anybody I used to ask, where are we going? Ibiza, you know, or Magaluf or whatever it was called. You know, all these. But now it's a thing. Now everybody wants to go to Dubai.
Dubai.
Because the party's in Dubai.
Yeah.
And that was meant to be a very strict Islamist country, but it's changed. But it's, countries has changed, but you have to just leave it to them, let's not, trying to threaten them and do this or that. There's other countries out there worst,
Yeah. And what's it like for you being here as well? Like, you always mention how important democracy is to you and all that kind of stuff. Now, when you hear people complaining right here, are you kind of like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about? Like, not just I've experienced this, but you have seen, or your parents as well have seen so much worse. That is just like, nah, like, we're good here. I'm good in Ireland. I am better off.
Yeah, sometimes here, I don't know, the old generation kind of appreciate a bit more the ones in their 70s.
Okay.
They've gone through the hardships. But the young generation, like our age, they're they don't know what's going on in the world. They just don't. They don't realize how spoiled we are now. We are very spoiled. I know we are spoiled. At the same time, we have to work for it too. We have to work hard as well. And it's like any country in the world. You just have to work hard. Whether you have to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs, you have to do it, and that's the way it is. But sometimes we're living in a peaceful, a gorgeous country here. It's a great country. We're a small country, and we're living in a country of freedom of speech. And sometimes you see on Twitter, a lot of people be criticizing Leo Varadkar, Micheál Martin, Mary Lou, and everybody.
Yeah.
You don't get that in other countries. You'd be locked up.
Yeah, that's true. I was actually, I didn't highlight it, but you were actually talking about that with the freedom of speech and how everyone had to make sure that with the Saddam Hussein, where I fully support him, right? You had to say that. I've been talking shit about all these politicians, and I've been taking it for complete granted that no one came knocking on my door, especially as a foreigner. No one came knocking on my door going, "Oi, go back to your fucking country."
Yeah.
Again, I don't like take the piss out of everyone, just like a few, just a few.
and that's the difference, between a democracy and a functioning democracy. Well, at the minute, Ireland are the only actually functioning democracy in Europe, because then Sweden and Finland, where now they're joining NATO, that will take the functioning democracy away from us.
Why? Why?
Because then we're making friends with countries like Turkey that have blood on their hands. They're killing a lot of innocent people every week in, week out. And Sweden already transferred back about 10 Turkish activists and journalists back to Turkey.
Okay.
Sweden and Turkey then will allow them to join the NATO.
I see.
So 1 minute is all about democracy, and another minute it's when it suits them.
Yeah. That's always gonna, like, I say this all the time when it comes to politics.
It's messy.
It's so messy. I one time had a politician on here, and I was like, dude, your values are fucking there. Why do you go into, like, you're heading into corruption? You and I, if we were to go into politics, we will come out tainted. And it's such a pity, because I do think that there are a lot of people that mean well starting out. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Lads are losing their hair. Women are just like it takes an emotional toll on you for what? I don't know. Just so that you fix a fucking light bulb and someone votes for you and your ego is like...
That's it. Politics politics is messy as well,
Yeah.
Sometimes you could say something negative or controversial, then you get a lot of...
Oh, yeah. That's the marketing scheme that all of them have right now. It's like, okay, let me figure out what this group of people want and how are they going to vote for me and what can I give to them in return.
That's you get that, and you're going to get in a few years, probably,
Yeah.
next while you're going to get some certain opposition politicians, whatever, we don't want any foreigners in this country.
Yeah.
Send them all home. And
So
everybody be like, oh, sitting at home. Oh, you're great. Well done. You're brilliant.
You have my vote. I'm gonna build a wall.
Build the wall.
Build a fucking wall.
And then I think what it is as well, as I think, 50, there's a lot of Irish people as well out there. You get their keyboard typers, I call them.
Oh yeah, the keyboard warriors. Yeah.
And sometimes I think they don't understand. Sometimes look, I even have friends. There is people I know, and they'll be like, "Oh, our country is full." Okay, yeah, we know that's full, right? But I said, so I knew what they mean by that, because sometimes they say there's too many people here. We can't take any more people in. We can't. But I'm like, okay, if someone knocks in your door, comes into the country in Ireland, and you're Micheál Martin, you're the Taoiseach in this country, right? Think about, you're a guard. You say this man is after immigrant illegally entering the country. You can't just say, okay, you're going home. It doesn't. This isn't North Korea. We live in.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is protocol. There is process.
You can't send a refugee back to a country that is war driven and where their life is at stake.
It's even at any immigrant, any Islam seeker, anybody.
Yeah.
Once they come in, you have to go through the European, what's it called? The 1956, I think, Geneva Convention. I think.
Yes. It's something like that.
There is that protocol you have to go through. So it's not. There's a reason why you're here in the European Union. There's a reason why. And
that's why a lot of people are now saying Ireland out of the EU. And so many things, because it's like, no, it's full. We don't need. The EU ruined us. We sold our nationality, we sold our country to the EU. Now, in fairness, with Malta, joining the EU was one of the best things that we could have done.
Ireland is one of the best.
Yeah, of course. Like there's a reason why Brexit and now Facebook and Google is over here.
There's another thing, and there's why a lot of big tech companies are coming to Ireland. And Ireland have done very well out of the EU, and I think Ireland be a different country without in the EU, and it's they have done very well. I believe in every country. See, it's not only Ireland. The world is changing in general.
Yes,
the world. I was watching TV in Iran, and they were giving out the 4 million people from Afghanistan living there, and that was only a small percentage, and they were like, we can't get jobs because they're doing it. But the thing, next thing they went and interviewed the manager of some hospital or whatever it was. But he says, the cleaners are all from Afghanistan. Our own people wouldn't do it. Our own Iranians doesn't want to do it.
That's it.
So there is that, and every country sometimes, if you can't get workers, you have to go outside the country to go get workers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, and in general now it's so easy to travel now. It's not like 70 years ago. Every like example, Ireland's a little country now. They have ambassadors from all other countries, and they have students coming over studying here. They becoming doctors, becoming down. When they settle in here, they settle down and they bring their families over. But it's the same with Irish people. They're going to work in Dubai, and next thing all of a sudden there's close to probably 10,000 Irish people in Dubai, in the
for sure.
Qatar, Australia, when they're going, just a lot. I know a lot of fellas I used to play GA with, and now they're living in Australia. They haven't come home. When they went in recession time, they're there.
They're there. They're staying there. I had a conversation with a taxi driver on my way home to Malta, right? He's like, "What are you doing here? Ireland is full." I'm like, okay. I'm like, I pay taxes, I promise, And he goes, "Yeah, I'm only back being 8 years in Australia." He's like, "I'm thinking about going back." I'm like, dude, it's the same fucking thing. Yeah. You're going to Australia/Canada, and other people are coming here. Now, it's kind of like, I'm not here to change Ireland. My accent is fucking changing. So it's like, there's only so much that people can do. A lot of people, I'm not going to say everyone, a lot of people have good intentions.
Yeah, come on. I always find that 99% of Irish people are genuine people, to be fair, and kind of their history is the same as any other immigrant that's coming here. There's no difference. Like Ireland, to be fair,
Ireland had to fight for Ireland as well,
and they should be the last country to be giving out about foreigners as well. And I think a lot of the people that are giving out kind of sometimes drink and alcohol related. There are, even there are some protests in some little small areas going on.
Look, like Dublin, I'm not saying that Dublin is full, but obviously there are so many vacant homes and the housing crisis is so real.
It's everywhere.
But it's everywhere.
It's not only in
Exactly.
Ireland, it's everywhere.
Every English-speaking country is going through this issue. If you're going to
people
go...
even in Kurdistan and Iraq are giving out we have nowhere to live.
There you
it's
go.
just the same. It's this whole
it's
war and
development.
it's the war and there's sometimes I know in Ireland probably they need to speed up thing for about we're planning permission and building more.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's in Ireland there's like Harry and Dick
sure.
building somewhere. Yeah,
exactly. But that's with every country. That's it. And it's like there's no point in turning against each other. There's no point in making people that have just landed in your country not feel welcome, because it's only going to isolate them.
That's what's going to happen in the world. You'll only create then. Longer down the road, you only create gangs and stuff like that, like in England and all that.
In London.
In London and all that, and then you'll divide people. But in general, the whole world is changing, whether we like it or not. I've seen with Chinese going over to. I've seen there's a lot of Chinese going to Africa for investment and all that, and they're going in there, they're mixing with black people, and they're marrying and all, and they were going back to their own countries. And the Chinese government are going mad at them for marrying a person from Uganda or whatever, and then because then the kids are coming out as mixed race, and the government weren't happy with them. So whether we like it or not, so if you want to, the only way it is this world, the only way North Korea stays as North Korea. They don't change because it's a dictatorship country. They don't want anyone in their country, and they don't want their people to leave. So that's a real rootless,
Basically, the world is becoming a NutriBullet, right?
Yeah, we're all going around in circles.
We're all going around in circles. We're all gonna
and it's like even many Kurdish people that have come here. I know many of them have married Irish people, Arabs, everything's so Polish. I know so many. It's gone very, and I never thought with Kurdish people. But I noticed with Kurds, we thought we'll mix in with people that we lived beside us with different Kurdish religions and tribes, different religion, different backgrounds, and Arabs, and because they lived close door to us. But I never thought the Kurdish people. The next thing is going to go very multicultural. I mean, gone very from different parts of the world and that's the way it is, whether we like it or not. People are going to change, and people, if I like a girl from a Swedish bird, if I'm going out with her, I'm going to go out with her. It's nothing got to do about her what country she's from. As a person, you go out with somebody you like. You don't go out because of their nationality, or you don't hate. So that's the way, and the world is changing whether we like it or not. And you could see the whole British Parliament has changed. Look at the whole French soccer team, in general. Wouldn't have been like that 50, 60 years ago. The world is changing, and Ireland is changing. Ireland is no different to France or England or any, Ireland's going to change as well, whether we like it or not. And the same with Kurdistan and Iraq. Iraq is changing whether they like it or not. And same in Iraq. I watch TV, there's full of Indians, Pakistan, full all sorts, all very and it's changing over there, and every country is changing the world. It's a lot more easier to travel around. Every country has an embassy, ambassador in their country. They just go into a country. I want a 3 months visa. Beep beep beep. Pay €60 and you're gone.
Yeah.
It's so easy to travel now, and it's whether we like it or not, the world is changing.
Yeah.
And
so
Ireland,
you either hop on the bandwagon and adapt, and make sure that you stay true to your values, stay authentic to yourself, and be a fucking sound person at the end of the day. Or you're going to be left behind, unfortunately.
Well, that's it. Like, you can't even. There's only one country that actually decided to kick all foreigners out. I think was it Uganda? Was it Adi Iman? His name was.
Wow. Okay.
1970 it was British colonized, but he took over then as the army general, and so I think it was in the 1974 or 78. It was. I'm not sure exactly, but anyway, he decided to kick out. All the foreigners. He was saying they're taking my country, they're taking everything.
Yeah.
But these were all actually, so you end up kicking about 300,000 people out, you know, and they were all British Indians. They were all, he says, the white people and the Indians and the Bangladeshis are all coming over, taking my country. But they were there 30, 40 years in that country, and they have been very successful people. They're bringing their Chinese, all sorts. They're bringing, so the next thing, he kicked them all out, and the people there, so they were all,
Just
they
like,
all
what the
own,
fuck do we do now?
they all own shops, restaurants,
Yeah.
businesses, but they closed everything down. They took all their money, and they all went to England and back to India, and they took everything with them. And next thing, there was a recession in the country. The whole
course.
country just collapsed, and then and
Literally.
yeah, literally just the whole country. And then he done a then the economy went, and then he realized, oh, I'm after kicking all the expertise out, all the doctors and all the nurses, and all of a sudden, again, I think 100% sure that it was Uganda. It was, you know, and the people, it was right beside Tanzania, I think it's called, beside them, and they fought, and next thing, there was nothing happening in their country, the recession, and because everybody left, and they got into another war with Tanzania then. And trying to justify blame Tanzania on what was happening in their country, and then when the next thing, all of a sudden they overthrew him, then they blamed the leader for his decision.
Of course.
Then he died in Saudi Arabia
Of
a couple of
course.
years later.
Always the same.
But that was the only country
That tried it.
that they tried it, but
Yeah.
it didn't end up well for the
No.
country, and the country went into the recession, poverty. The leaders were all, you know, civil war started inside the country. The leader actually went into exile up to Saudi Arabia. He died in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Adi Iman, I think his name was.
Unreal. My granddad would have had to go through nothing like that, but something somewhat similar underneath the Maltese leader, and this was when the British were were ruling Malta, and this was along the lines of like, you have X amount of time to choose between your British passport or your Maltese passport. So then a lot of Maltese people kind of were faced with the decision of, do I have to like predict the future of my family? Do I uproot my Maltese family and move to the UK, or trade my passport and like stay in Malta? Because at the time, obviously, the EU was like a very far stretch as well. So there wasn't like, there were quite a good few decisions, and a lot of people had moved to the UK, or there was obviously like an influx to Australia as well. But yeah, it's so interesting how politicians used to work at the time. It's just like people being detached from reality. It's like, oh, all the foreigners go out, but then it's like, who's going to cook this food? Who's going to do my surgery, my emergency surgery for my young child when something happens to them? Everyone forgets that stuff. While you're, not you, because I'm sure there are a lot of people that are working, but it's like, you're not going to be the one to do surgery on yourself. You're not going to hop on a bike, put a helmet on with a Deliveroo backpack. You don't want to do that. So, like, and that's where it is. Like, there isn't, I don't think anyways, there is a situation of, there's no jobs for us, there's no space for us, the foreigners aren't filling that up. Is it unfortunate, like with the Ukrainians and all that? Is it silly, and should you question your government that they are choosing to actively leave homeless on the street? Sure. Chat to them about that. It's not the Ukrainians' fault that something fucking happened and now they ended up here. I'm sure they wanted to still be in Ukraine right now. But it's about like figuring this argument out and wording it in the right way. And then also, this is something really recent that I'm trying to figure out and haven't gotten it yet. I'm trying to eliminate the word them or they in my language. It's like, rather than just pointing those people over there, it's like, who's the politician behind it? Is there an institute in particular that needs to like be figured out? Like, what is it? Who is they? Who are they? Because I'm sure a lot of the politicians really do mean well. No one goes, yes, homeless people on the roads. Like, I don't think they're all saying that. It's about just figuring out and narrowing down the targets properly. And that's where change will happen.
See, there's a big thing, obviously with this Ukrainian war, price of everything has gone up because of it as well. That's 50% part of the thing as well. And it's in everywhere. I talk to my brother lives in Sweden, and he says price of everything has gone over the roof, relations all over Europe, and they say the same thing. It's because of war. When war happens, everything goes expensive, because my family went through it all in the 80s, and it was the same. You couldn't barely get anything to eat when a war was, at least we still have a roof over our own head, and we still, and Ireland too. And I remember I done Ireland does okay. There is people that are homeless, but I'm looking at there's different types of homelessness as well when you look at it, So I want to know, when we look at someone on the street, he's just been sleeping on the street, right? Right, he's homeless, and then we have people that are homeless living in hotels. So to me, I don't call that homeless. Someone living in a hotel. But I think that's part of the 10,000 people. I might get criticized for this.
Okay. Like, you're making a
There's different
difference between like sleeping rough. There is, and
I remember I done a sleepover with the GPA, the Gaelic Players Association there.
Okay.
And the GPA, to be fair, all the players that took part, we raised over, I think it was €250,000 it was. And there's we were sleeping out at the GPO, and just two homeless people were sleeping beside us, and we just got chatting to them and all, and we're like, would you not go to a house? He goes, no, I want to sleep here, So when I was so I said to myself, like, I'm sure there's a place,
A lot of them, I heard, because I did question this, a lot of them, especially if they're recovering addicts or they have addictions, with situations like that with shelters and whatnot, is if they go in a place where people are using, they fear that they'll end up using as well. Because a lot of the times, like, drugs and drink is often involved when it comes to that. I know, like, it's so, look, I think it's just one of those things that really needs to be tackled properly, like with a plan.
The issue is, how do you tackle this when someone, there is people out there that want to sleep on the road?
Those people, kind of, and we circle back to
and I've questioned, but I believe, I believe in this country, there is a roof for everybody to sleep in. There is, if you want a roof over your head, there's a place for you to sleep. And I believe you don't need to sleep outside. Okay. I believe there is a place for everybody in Ireland. There's hostels everywhere in town. There is a place. And I have asked this question before, I've asked this question before. I seen there's over 20,000 Brazilians, they get 3 months visa. They're only in the country a week. They get a job and they have a place to live. They can find a place to live. And I believe same as anybody else in this country, there is a place for people to live. Yeah. Especially that Brazilian person. I'm gonna give an example, right? He's coming over here. Doesn't have any relations. Doesn't have, but the people in Ireland, it's their country. They have relations there. I believe there's a roof. I believe there's a bed for everybody in this country. Yeah. Whether you have to sleep in your sitting room, there is a place. You do not need to sleep. You do not need to sleep on the street. And I've looked at it, and I live in Tala as well. Population 150,000 people, or 100, maybe it's over 100,000 anyway there. And I have seen, I say over 2 homeless people there I seen in Tala. And them 2 people I have seen, it was drug related and drink related.
Yeah.
And I believe if they wanted help, they will get help. But there is people out there that don't want help. Yes. There's people out there that want to sleep on the road. They want to. Not on the middle of the road, but
no. But like, you are right, as in there comes a point where there is personal choice. You're not going to grab someone,
you can't
handcuff him, and put him somewhere there. That is like a different version of prison. At the end of the day, yes, democracy, as you kind of said, freedom of speech, freedom of choice too. If that's what you want to do, sure thing.
And there is, and the other thing is, and I also do believe there are shortage of houses and apartments in this country. There's no doubt about that, and I believe in that as well. but we just need to build more, and that's the only thing we
Yeah.
But there's still room for everybody to sleep
Yes.
with a roof over their head in this country.
I think it's also just like Ireland is definitely not full. It's just about the developmental stage that it's at.
We're
More
not full.
buildings.
Leave Dublin.
Yeah. Exactly. There's that. Then it's also like there's an element of choice. There's also jobs, for instance. Life begins in Leitrim. I don't know what jobs are going around in Leitrim right now, career-wise.
Well, but if you want a job in Leitrim, there is a job in Leitrim. It's not like 20, 30 years ago.
Exactly. That's it. It's just like the development. For now, it's like it's the main ones. It's Dublin and it's Cork. And hopefully...
But there is work. I have a lot of friends in Leitrim, and I've know loads of Kurds there. And if you're not working, even in Leitrim, the smallest county,
yeah,
there's something wrong. Like, I get down to Leitrim and visit and friends. They said there's loads of work. There's jobs everywhere now in Ireland. If you want a job, there's a job. I can get a job tonight. You just apply once. There's loads of jobs. Now, that doesn't mean if I'm qualified as an engineer, I get a job as an engineer. You don't have to go get a job. Go get a job in a bar or
That's basically it. Yeah.
Like,
that's kind of like where we're going about it. It's like right now the youth and so many people are educated to the point of like now a master's degree kind of means nothing as well. A master's degree doesn't guarantee that you're going to be an engineer. Again, like it depends on the county, right? But you're not always going to be a lecturer. You're not always going to be a teacher in a secondary school. It's more just about like
it's
that
like
mental.
We can't all become Ronaldo.
No, we can't. Yeah, exactly.
There's only places for.
There's the element of luck. There's context. There's contacts as well. There's so many things that go into it. Jesus fucking Christ! That just hit me now. We barely spoke about you, and we're just talking about Saddam Hussein and Iraq and everything. But like, I'm sure that like people are understanding like the bigger pictures, especially about like belonging and identity. Did you have, considering the identity crisis that being Kurdish had come with it comes with being Kurdish, where it's taken away from you and it's constantly being questioned about you. Now, obviously, you're an Irish citizen. You're like, do you identify with lots of things in your life that make you as Zak?
I say I'm Kurdish with an Irish heart. But I say Ireland is home for me, for all the Kurdish people. I know they live here. Ireland is home for them forever. Ireland is, because our country is occupied. Where do you go? Everything we had was taken away from that war. In the 1980s. So Ireland is home, really. Don't know what way to describe it.
Yeah. It's growing up though. When you moved to Ireland, was it strictly through hurling that kind of got you to connect with the country, or was it just the stepping stone, like the gateway to then making it your home?
Well, I say it was probably a lot easier, obviously, integrating into the Irish culture and getting to know the Irish system, the way it worked. I mean, getting to know the people of Ireland
through the GAA,
through the GAA, and the real Irish people are the real GAA people, really. When you actually,
it's unfortunate I can't do any of those.
They're Irish as it gets.
Yeah, you're a cool foreigner, aren't you? You're a good one.
I'm a foreigner now.
Yeah.
But so it's it was just through sports, through hurling, but like it wasn't like I decided start playing hurling or Gaelic to integrate. It's just a sport I liked playing because I played soccer as well.
Yeah, how did you go from soccer to not picking up Gaelic football?
Well, I picked up Gaelic. I played Gaelic as well and hurling, but I kind of put soccer aside. But soccer, I like soccer playing five-a-side with the lads. Right. But sometimes people are afraid to play other sports because I I don't know. I think because you see in the world, soccer is the number one sport in the world. When you look at it in the world,
Yeah.
But the reason, one of the reasons for that is it's easier game to play. You just
Very easy to understand. Yeah.
very easy to understand. When you get a 2-year-old, put a ball down, he's able to, you know,
Kick.
kick it very quick. Like doesn't need 2 hours of education
Yeah,
about it.
you are right. Yeah, like
But
there's no rules to it.
there's
There's
really
no
no
three
real.
steps. It's like just don't pick it up with your hands. Don't be offside, and that comes later in life
Yeah,
as well. the
it comes
offside.
later in life.
Yeah.
But GA hurling is very completely different.
So
There's so much skill involved. I've done a start from kindergarten. I've started in Thomas David. You have to, the minute these are 5-year-olds, you're gonna have to start. I mean, start from the bottom. So you have to start showing them how to pull on a ball first, and then by the time they're 7, 8 years of age, you have to show them how to pick a ball up, roll into the hand, and hit it. And over the years, and it might take them 4 or 5 years by the time they become naturally as a GA, as a hurler, or as a Gaelic player. It could take 4 or 5 years for them to develop. But a 5-year-old that plays soccer, he can develop within a month as a soccer player.
yeah.
And you're just doing the same. You put the ball down, you have to kick. But hurling, give a 5-year-old hurl and trying to hit the ball. Could be there for half an hour trying to get one.
Does it feel like an extension of your arm now? Because I've never been good at racket sports whatsoever. But so like I always like wonder this, like when you have a hurl in your hand, is it just like, do you look at the ball and you go like, yeah, this stick is part of me now. It's just an extension of my body.
It's nearly, the stick is nearly, it's part of you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to hold it all the time when you're playing, and it's a different sport, and it's very fast game, very skillful. There's so much skill involved in hurling. There's just so much, and so fast, and the game is very physical too. And it's not. Which in soccer, there's a lot of diving fellas. In GA people, they don't dive.
No.
If they dive, they're a coward. They get down very quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've seen fella getting the big heavy belts, and even they're in bits. They're coming. They're getting up and pretending not hurt, and you could see them. They're suffering.
Ripped off and everything.
Yeah. It's.
Did you have to sit your parents down and go like, listen, guys, this is the sport for me. Here's the fucking rule book. Or just like you just let them figure it out, or they were just like watching
they just wanted me to just play whatever I wanted. They didn't give a.
How sweet! Because growing up, my brother was a football player, and I was doing handball, which had a lot more rules. And with me, it was just like, Deb, I have no idea what the fuck you're doing right now. I'm just like here to be like just a supporter, like present. I'm good. Yeah, go Debbie, go team. Like I know which like color kit to support, but that's it. Soccer is so much easier to understand.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's the reason for it. A lot of people to play soccer because it's an easier game. They adapt to it very quick, and it's worldwide as well. But then, if you're in India and Pakistan, they have no interest in soccer. Cricket,
massive.
And you think about it, there's a billion of them. Put the whole Europe together, and Brazil and that. There's not even a billion. So there is
context.
There is context. There is, and it's same with Ireland. Ireland's hurling, Gaelic, GA. It's the number one sport again for the last 20 years in a row. It's the number one sport again in Ireland.
Yeah. No. Like sport is lovely though.
And every country, that's American. Same with American football is there, and basketball and soccer the same. Third. It's like Ireland. Soccer is third. No, but that's the way it is, and the reason the soccer is kind of a little bit strong as well in Ireland. It's because in England, the next door neighbour, because a lot of players will get a chance in the soccer over there to make a few quid. But if we were further away, soccer wouldn't even exist in Ireland.
Yeah, that's
if we were where Malta is now, if we swap Malta and Ireland, all right, 2 countries.
Okay.
And Ireland was just, and it was G and all that. The soccer wouldn't even exist, I don't think. They'll play, but small 0%.
Yeah, exactly. I think obviously like it also comes with the continent as well. Like depends. I I just find sports so interesting, and the way that it communicates beyond languages, and just
Sport is what's keeping this country together, I think.
Yeah.
It's just everybody plays sports. Everybody plays GAA, soccer, rugby.
There's always something to
basketball.
talk about, even if
There's
like
something. And even
yeah.
if there's no GAA in Ireland, right?
Mm.
Ireland will be winning World Cup rugbies.
Oh, for sure.
And they will be in the top probably 6 in the world in soccer.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if the GAA wasn't there.
Mm.
But when I'm looking at, you look at all these Limerick hurlers, the size of them, and a lot of the GAA hurlers, like, I mean, the top divisions, when you look at them, you know, if they didn't play the sport GAA, there's no GAA. Imagine if all of them were playing rugby and soccer and all that. At Ireland's Irish soccer and rugby with. But then at the same time, we say if there's no soccer underneath the GAA, we'd be another level.
Yeah. Look, it's also just like fair enough completely, and I think it also comes with choosing sports as well.
Which
I think
is good. I think it's a good thing in Ireland.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, play all sports and then
exactly play all sports, and also a lot of people need to understand that if this sport, like if you don't like the sport, if you don't enjoy it, if you're not good at it, it doesn't mean that sport isn't for you, full stop. It's like there is another sport for you out there. I have this complete I don't know if it's a notion, I don't know if it's a belief, but every single person has a sport in them and they just need to figure it out. And now this is probably just like my bad trait, but then I also go like, no, you're wasting your body if you don't like sign up for the sport. Like, do it, please. Like, I beg you, just because it's so good. In saying that, though, I want to end our conversation with this one thing. So, obviously, I've got a lot of Irish listeners, but then I've got people based in Ireland that are not Irish. If they are struggling with feeling like they belong over here, like what's your little like token of wisdom? Yeah. If they're struggling
here,
if they feel like they're struggling to feel like they belong here, if they feel like they're having a little bit of an identity crisis between Ireland versus Malta versus Spain, who am I? How did you like figure that bit out for yourself?
I believe the longer you live in Ireland, the more you become part of the system here. The more you digest to the weather, the more you digest to the pubs, the more you get to know how the whole country works. You know, you'll get used to the weather. The weather is very important to get used to. The cold weather. If you're from Spain, you're used to that lovely sunshine. In Ireland, we get the lovely sunshine in June and July, a bit in August. But I always believe, you know, like first year that you live here, you're going to be nervous. You don't know what's going on. You know, you're not going to be the same person. It might take a couple of years. And that's what I thought for me. Maybe I was younger. For the first year, it was didn't know really what was going on. I was excited. I was nervous. I was bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's going to take you know, I believe it's going to take a couple of years to become part of the system, to get to know how the whole country, understand the whole Irish culture, the whole system, and learning to live week by week.
Yeah. I was so impatient when I first got here. That's the one thing that like I would probably say I was so impatient.
Yeah, everybody's the same.
Yeah, like you just think it's gonna feel like home the moment that you step in. It's like no,
it doesn't work that way. You're gonna have to. It's like you're going to. It's like me. I left here when I went to Kurdistan of Iran for the first time, visited my grandparents, and when I went in there, I was like, I've been for a month. I was all excited, but I was like, what am I going to do here for a month?
Yeah.
Then after a while, I just digest. So the weather was so warm. It was even before I came here 20 years ago. The weather was like 40 degrees where we were in Iraq, and then trying to go back into that weather in the summer. It was end of May. It was like 45 degrees when I went to Iran. I tell you, and it was just you couldn't even go outside for 10 minutes. I was like, oh, how am I gonna last here? You know.
How did I last here for like? How did my parents do it? How did everyone?
Yeah, when they were there and it was just normal. They were just going out at 12. I was like, I'm not going out. I stayed in 12 o'clock in the day.
Exactly.
I go for the sleep and then go out in the nighttime when there's a little bit more,
Exactly.
bit of cool air. It was like 38 degrees
Yeah.
instead of 45.
Whopping
But,
difference, yeah.
yeah,
for sure.
so it's the same. It's
Mm,
you just have to get used to it,
yeah.
and maybe and you're going to have to live. As I say, most people in Ireland live week by week or month by month. They get their wages on a Friday. It could be gone by Sunday.
I know, that's so scary.
And then you could be living on chicken fillet roll for the rest of the week.
And now they're 750. They're no longer.
Oh, they're gone up again.
Yeah, they're going up again. I was so late to the chicken fillet roll party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only started it a year ago, and since then the prices have gone up. So I'm like,
It's gone up now. Wow. I haven't had one of them in a while. I must see how much they are.
Oh my god! Like, you should take a look at like Instagram and whatnot. Like, the prices are going up for.
Oh, I
those
know.
kind of
I
things.
understand that.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Shocker. No, but that's fair. I like. What was new to me as well? The other breakfast roll. That fucking broke me, dude. It broke. I was shattered. I couldn't finish that in a fuck. I took one half of a breakfast roll and I needed a nap. I can't handle those carbs.
They do good breakfast here now.
They do. Mexican
salt,
food
they're
was new to me as well. Yeah.
Very heavy. Irish breakfast is very heavy.
It's so heavy. And put that in a roll. No, thank you. Like add in more. No, I can't handle that shit. Honestly, thank you so much for joining me. I feel like I just like chugged all the questions away. So like, if you want to add in any more, and we can probably keep talking about everything here.
No, thanks for having me.
And buy the book, everyone. Life Begins in Leitrim. It's a super one. From not the little that I've read. I've read 100 pages in a day. Like, that's not too bad,
That's
right?
good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very easy read. Niall Kelly is super guy. What was it like with working with him and stuff?
He was brilliant. He was very good now. He was very easy to work with. He's a journalist, and
How long were the writing sessions for that?
How long? We met up we just done it, we just worked out on weekends on a Saturday.
No way.
Sometimes I'd go over to his place and he came to my place and we sat down, we drank a cup of tea.
And he'll ask you all the questions?
And then he'll ask all the questions. We take a break. I wouldn't hear from him for about 3 weeks.
Great.
He'll start typing stuff. He'll get back to me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work in it. It just doesn't...
What does it feel like, though, knowing that, like, someone wrote this about you? Like, you're like, oh, shit.
It feels good. It feels unreal having your own book,
Yeah.
Not...
Like, who would have thought from, like, a refugee camp?
I don't know, and I would never have thought of that.
Yeah.
But, it's been a long journey.
Fact. For sure. It's a crazy one.
Yeah.
I love seeing people just be honest and share everything, because I'm sure that a good amount of people would have reached out to you, especially like within the refugee community and all that, like this, seeing your face, seeing all
I have
of
hundreds
this.
of people that have gone.
Yeah.
It's
Does it get weird?
it get weird, and but look, most people enjoy it, reading it. It's different, it's different to any other books, any other sports book people have read,
Yeah.
And it's going well in the shop, so keep buying.
Yeah, please do. Anyways, thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate it, and I really appreciate you, man. I so much. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye, everyone.